Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of the Candid Talk. My name is Evans Okinyi. As usual, I'm joined here by the more sought after political analyst and commentator, Professor Herman Manyora. Prof, how are you?
Fine.
Good morning.
Morning to you.
How was your weekend?
Wonderful. Wonderful.
Here we are, still looking at how the country is being run. I understand the 4 months have already been placed in various schools.
Yes, congratulations those who have gotten good schools.
And
My view has always been, let poor children go to good public schools. People say no. If you have the money to take your child to a nice academy where you are paying fees, look for high schools also where you pay fees. Wacha hii raia watoke primary waingia paka alliance. And people don't listen to me.
And the grade 7 members are also supposed to be joining?
They should not go to those national schools. They should just be where they are.
Okay. Definitely we are here to witness, actually watch, and of course we are still waiting for the results of KCSE to be released as well. But meanwhile, as that is taking place, today is the 16th of this month, tomorrow is 17th, marks the very last day of office of the 3 IBC commissioners led by one Wafula Chebukati. And of course the others, Boyamolu. Prof, we are witnessing the first commissioners to serve actually the full constitutional term of 6 years. What's your thought about the Chebukati-led commission since they stepped into this office up to this very moment?
I don't know whether they are the first, but I know many Kenyans say good riddance. Of course, their term has come to an end. But assuming they even had 3, 4, 5, 6 more years, would they be the kind of people we would allow to run another election? Certainly no.
In this context, who are we who would allow?
Kenyans. I know the president has said they are very good people, he has awarded them. But I warn people, including the president, elections bring countries down. Examples around us are there. And many of the military coups we used to have were because it was not possible to challenge the president of a country. Either he didn't allow for competition through elections, we had single party states, or where they allowed the election, they rigged during the broad daylight, so people took power by it. We don't want to go there. Elections have brought countries down, and therefore, in the management of elections, let's try to be serious. Let's not take jokers and give them election to run. No, I mean, I speak from a point of love for the country.
So according to you, these are jokers?
These are jokers.
If at all were to sit with the president on the same
I will tell him
kind
this.
of set right
I will
now,
tell him this.
he would definitely be hailing these people, the Chebukati.
He has done so, but I'm now saying
Heroes.
I'm saying this on air. This thing will be aired. Yeah, and I'm saying it's wrong. We cannot hail such a people. These are people who almost send the country to the dogs. You can't hail them. They are incompetent people. These are not people you can even open your mouths to praise, even in the least.
They would say that the latest...
Chebukati tells us, after the fiasco of 2017, where technology almost brought us to some very bad point, and the Supreme Court said as much, he comes up 5 years later in 2022 and messes the election using the same technology, and he says something, and it's supported by the Supreme Court, that they didn't have the technical capacity, and therefore they had to outsource, and therefore they outsourced the camagos of that mathematics, which itself has such a dubious reputation. You know, the world is so small, they can't say they didn't know about mathematics, and they are dubious reputation across the world. And when the Supreme Court says this country is doomed, that they had no capacity, I wonder, does the Supreme Court know what it means to have capacity, a technical capacity? A country that produced M-Pesa. So if Chebukati does not know first year students, not first year in computing and informatics, people computer science, no, physics at Chiromo, or engineering main campus. First year students can design for you something even mathematics cannot give you. Yeah, I'm not saying computer students, that's another world. I'm just saying students or boys in River Road here, people who design M-Pesa can't be unable to design an election platform. This one can be designed by polytechnics.
So my
So when the court says and agrees with Chebukati, they didn't have capacity, I just sympathize with my country.
for the past 6 years, Prof, if you were to rate Chebukati's performance on a scale of 1 to 10, where of course 1 here represents the very least and 10 the very highest, what would you give it?
I will give Chebukati 0. Why do I give Chebukati 0?
Come on, make me understand. Why would you give him 0?
Maybe I know things which many people don't know. I know that elections have almost sent us down the drain. Tumeponea tu chupu chupu 207. Let me tell you about 207. In a week or so, we saw what we saw, which we can't mention here. Not the number of people who died, not the properties that were destroyed, not in terms of displaced persons, who famously became known as IDPs. But let me tell you something else that many Kenyans should try to find out. If Kofi Annan had not come, and if the mess had not been stopped at the time it was stopped, the first thing that was going to happen in this country, people were about to begin dying from hunger. Hunger. By the time the thing was entering the second week, actually the first second week, just before it stopped, there was almost no food in the supermarkets. Kenya is a fragile economy that cannot withstand any disturbance. Our food security is so precarious that even the supply itself, if you have disturbances in this country for 2 weeks, you'll watch people die of hunger. Remember the trouble we have had in Uganda all those years. They have never had a problem with food. Even at their worst of time, they still used to sell food, bring food to Kenya. Because them did not move away wholly from the indigenous foods. We went exotic. And we don't have the science, the husbandry to manage exotic farming. So we are the mercy of the suppliers. So once you cut that, now though I'm saying this, in 2017, the country was divided into two. The talk of secession was not empty talk. You get it? The boycott of things that was led by the Ndis and the Migunas. If Raila wasn't a statesman, not just to lead into the handshake, but to avoid the excesses of that boycott. I remember boys in Kisumu saying, we want first of all to remove all the portraits of Uhuru Kenyatta. We want to deal with companies physically. You know, those companies that were mentioning, some of those we boycotted. It could get ugly. Maybe we may not be having the country today. And therefore, I give Chebukati 0 because anybody who manages an election in any country in the world should know that they are handling something that can make the country disappear from the face of the earth. And therefore, if you are a person who plays with a job like that, I cannot give even 1 mark. I give you 0. So Chebukati to me, 0. Yeah.
No. Well, everybody has their opinion on how.
Of course, this is my opinion.
They would actually give or rather scale the performance of Wafula Chebukati and the other commissioners. But as we talk right now, of course, you know, he's going out there as the president of electoral officials actually in Africa. So you must actually know people when you're now addressing such kind of established names, Prof. Let me also ask you now, what do you think? Where does this leave us as a country? Because right now there is only one commissioner, of course,
who is still facing a tribunal.
And here we are caught in the middle of this. You know, I was supposed to ask you, do you think that we can actually get the right people who would fit into the shoes of Wafula Chebukati? But now that you've said that
Chebukati has no shoes, how can you say we get someone to fit in the shoes? Chebukati has no shoes. Which shoes are these?
Now that you've said that Chebukati
has no shoes.
Now, how are we going to fill this kind of vacancy that has remained here so that we as a country can get the right people? Now that you said that the Chebukati-led team was not actually the right one, then how should we go about it to ensure that we fill in the right people?
I was on NTV and I was mentioning this. First of all, the starting point, please, Kenyans, the starting point is to be serious. Let's be serious about our country. If we love this country and know we have children, and we want to leave our children and their children with our country, the starting point is to be serious. So if we want to look at the body that manages our election, with the understanding that an election can send the country down the drain, let's put our cards on the table, all of them. Let's discuss with all the cards on the table. Let nobody be clever and put cards down here. There's a law in Parliament to try and tinker with the way we select our commissioners. Certainly it has been brought by one side. Those are the sort of things I'm saying that we don't need them. Let's just agree this is our country and the elections can bring us down. So I suggest we just go back to IPPG 1997. Let political players nominate commissioners to the IEBC. Yeah, and let's start from there. But even then, like I've said also on that program, Kenyans must learn to be serious. Because even when ODM or Jubilee or Ford Kenya or whatever it is are given that opportunity to nominate those commissioners, they will not get the best men, then they complain. So Raila will send people there, but they will not be the best people. We go to chronism. We look within our circles, in breeding. We don't look beyond and see in other people. So even if the parties were given an opportunity to select people to the commission, which in my view is the best way in our circumstances, they will still not get the best people. They are in the dictator's trap where you can't see even 2 meters ahead. You see family, you see friends, you see cronies, you see around you. When Uhuru is making government, when Kibaki is doing it, when William Ruto is the same, use the same names, same people, failed politicians, people who can't even distinguish their right hand from their right from their left hand. Somebody whose intellectual capacity is so wanting, they cannot even run a capital dip. They cannot even manage the smallest of enterprises. You give them a serious job to run. When these 4 commissioners were selected and appointed, I said, look at these ones. Are these people you can give to run an election? Certainly no. But they have been pushed there by political players. Because to get there, you must have the goodwill of political players. So I asked them, supposing Uhuru wanted to use these 4 commissioners, are those the sort of people you can put there to use? Look at how BBI went under. It didn't succeed. What were the people Raila put there? Because he stood to gain the most from BBI. Did he take time to look for intelligent men and women to put there? He didn't go beyond the circles he knows. The cronies, the political friends, and you know. So this country, the beginning point for this country to be serious. Just get serious. From the president to the smallest man in the village, we have to be serious so that that man in the village should not blame the president. Who is your MCA? How did you elect your MCA? You need your MCA more than the president. But look at the person you put there. This village thief, you made them MCA because he's from your clan, because he gave you 100 shillings. So Kenyans ought to be serious.
No, Prof, in the wake of 2017 elections, of course, the ones that were actually cancelled by the Supreme Court, nullified and declared, actually null and void by the Supreme Court of the land.
Yes.
There were calls and pressure from the ODM side, or rather NASA at that particular moment, that actually called for the resignation of Wafula Chebukati, but he stood firm. And he said that as far as the courts found some sort of malpractice in the handling of the elections, that he would not resign. Do you think it would have been prudent for him to have resigned at that particular moment and given somebody else a chance to take over?
Raila and his team fought so hard to improve the management of our elections. In fact, anybody who has benefited from this election, including Ruto, has benefited from Raila. They are eating off Raila's back, all these people. We owe it to Raila these good things about management. Raila has fought hard to remove Isaac Hassan and others before him. What better chance was there than this one? At what point did he have concrete reasons to have an IBC chair removed than the 2017 election? That was nullified by the Supreme Court. And there were specific things that were cited by the Supreme Court. And Chebukati never changed any of those things. And was allowed to superintend over the last election in 2022. That is the time Raila should have pushed. But why? Politicians are like hounds, you know. When they smell something, they think they just run in that direction. I think for Raila it was always very obvious he was going to win the president. So,
But I saw the ODM call for the ODM party.
yeah, that calling for is not enough. Why did Isaac Hassan go? It was not just calling for it.
No.
Was it just calling for it?
And
There was action.
That's what I.
Why didn't Raila back his call even before he retracted on Chebukati to say it was okay? Why didn't he back the call with action? Then Chebukati should have left. That should have been the beginning point. But to go into an election with Chebukati and expect to win, that was a little naive on the part of Azimio. But because they thought, well, they are going to handshake, they were with Uhuru and what, the problem now will not be rigging of elections. They should have asked me. Yeah. So I'm not saying elections were rigged. Please don't get me wrong.
Okay. No. Let's come back now. Looking at what actually befell the Cherera fall, and the kind of situation that we find ourselves in as a country. Definitely, I had Martha Karua said at that time that this is a push by the president to ensure that he brings on board people who are actually kind of pro him, in a bid to try to influence or rather win the 2027 elections by a landslide. Do you still buy that argument? And if so, then how are we going to make sure that we bring on board independent individuals who cannot be swayed or influenced by the executive? Because at the end of the day, it's the president who calls the cards on who gets in there. The last ink on whoever gets in there as the next chairman of the commission has to be actually signed by the president.
I don't have to buy what anybody is saying, not what Martha Karua is saying. But I can only remind Kenyans and remind the president that when President Kibaki rubbished the IPP year arrangement in the constitution of the electoral body, we go to 2007. Anybody attempting to play from the same book is courting disaster. Yes. Finally, I must say this. God has been kind to us as a people. We've made all sorts of blunders, stupid mistakes. God has been on our side. God is going to get tired. Like Museveni said sometimes back during Corona period in Uganda, he said, God has no time for stupid people. You cannot be stupid and pray to God and hope God will help you. We've made serious blunders, but God has saved us. You don't need to be religious. But just to know that how could we have survived as a country with all the blunders we have made? Whatever is holding us together, even with these blunders, could give way. So let's stop playing this thing on the cheap. Let's stop seeing things in terms of an election, in terms of power, in terms of presidency or whatever. Because these things are transient. Power is transient. There's a lot of illusion about power. Look at the country and say, when I'm an old man, God has given me life, I'm William Samoei Ruto, at 90 years in Surugoi there. My great-grandchildren and my children are living in a wonderful country. That should be the wish of every adult, that I would want my children to be in a country that they are proud of. And my contribution is to ensure that my grandchild will live in a good country. At a very micro example level, I've always told Kenyans, and this has everything to do with what we are discussing in terms of an election can mess a country, and the people who run an election must be the best. So when you play with games, I've given people examples. If you have a very nice home in Lavington, you love it. Don't you love your granddaughter? Don't you want your daughter to inherit that house when you die? Don't you want your grandson to live the same standards in Lavington? But then why do you want to destroy the country? Because if you destroy the country, then your granddaughter will not get that house there. Because there will be no house. There will be no country.
Well and good.
Correct.
Prof, as we wind up this conversation, of course, the 3 outgoing commissioners are about to pocket their retirement package at 2 points.
Hapo tu kidogo. Kwa 20th minute. Kwa dakika ya 20.
Maliza haraka haraka. Ngoja kwanza kuambia kama sauti nzuri.
Kofiti? Kwa sawa?
Tuache hii ipite kwanza.
Yes. Prof, as we wind up this conversation, the 3 outgoing commissioners are supposed to pocket over 32 million Kenyan shillings in retirement package. Poor dirty third world country. That is what you always say. What's your take on that amount?
Look here, every job has its retirement package or exit package. So if that's the exit package, and the package of exit, your pension, is never really pegged on your performance. So whether Chebukati performed well or not, he deserves his package. But you see, as you say, a poor, dirty third world country, paying this money to people who have worked for barely 6 years, when more serious professions may not get half of that money, it begs the question as to whether we are really serious people. But their money, they deserve it. The people who didn't serve money were judges who were removed because of the 70-year rule, and they were given money. I didn't understand. Were they not judges, they were commissioners? Isaac Hassan. They didn't deserve. Because if you go midstream, because you have messed a job, who should pay you for messing a job? But Chebukati deserves his money. If it was part of the package, let him get it. But let his conscience follow him wherever he's going. Yes. Let him go and eat that money and whatever other money he has made in the course of his job. But let his conscience deal with him. If he did a good job, he will enjoy his retirement. But if he messed people, if there's a Kenyan who died because of the job they did badly, if there's a Kenyan who was maimed, who lost their property, who lost their job, who lost their lives, let them deal with their God and their conscience.
There you have it from Professor Herman Manyora himself here, of course, giving Mr. Wafula Chebukati a 0. But let's wait and see. Actually, from Nairobi Review here, those are his opinions. But then we wish Wafula Chebukati and the 2 other commissioners all the best in their endeavors as they exit the stage. And of course, give chance to the next coming commissioners. Of course, we will hope that we'll be a little bit different, or rather will serve this country to the best of their knowledge and will be impartial for that matter. Ladies and gentlemen, we do not want to wish that we will have a system whereby the electoral agency is used like a conveyor belt or something of the sort, or even the selection process is just but a mere formality. Till we have this conversation again, have yourself a very lovely day. My name is Evans Okinyi.